Hi, I'm Vernon and this is Kit, and we just watched Mortal Engines. Kit, what did we just watch?
We watched a pretty decent, entertaining, very well visualized steampunk movie. Thumbs up, thumbs up. I'm jumping the gun, but it's thumbs up.
Okay, basically the year 3000 and something hundred, humanity has survived 1,000 years after a nuclear quantum war, and well, civilization's back again. Civilization's weird now because you've got people living in mobile cities that look like Howl's Moving Castle, except they eat other cities and other towns. London is still around, and it's of course still the best city in the world, and it's the most badass city that eats up other cities.
Not really other cities, like small villages.
Towns
at
are
most.
yeah.
Very small, very small.
Very small. The world is now divided into two factions. One faction is the faction that believes in municipal Darwinism, which is basically if you got a city, you eat other cities. You're good enough, you eat other cities. You're not good enough, you get eaten. Nothing personal. The second faction is the Anti-Traction League, which believes in they're more against city Darwinists than pro anything.
There's this girl who's out to avenge the death of her mother, so she goes to kill the kind of leader of London, who's the bad guy.
Who's played by Hugo Weaving.
Which I did not
without
recognize.
CGI. Yo, you can't recognize Hugo Weaving without CGI.
No, and without his really distinctive voice, he kind of changed his voice. I'm a voice guy. I recognize people by voice. I didn't recognize his voice.
That cheek structure, you can recognize Hugo Weaving.
No, she's joined by this orphan, this geek museum researcher orphan, and they both get kicked out of London, and they have all kinds of weird adventures, and the bad guy is going to attack.
World domination! You've seen flashbacks that Hugo Weaving has found in an archaeological dig a suspicious looking box.
A
briefcase, actually, a suspicious looking briefcase kind of thing, and of course it's the box of nuclear codes that will reignite.
No, it's the other way around. He found the hardware, the actual hardware to create it, and they have a key to not launch it, but to unlaunch it.
Yeah, so it's an interesting take at the nuclear.
No, it was just there for plot. They just wanted them to be able to have a key, to go and disable the weapon. Otherwise, it's okay, but for me, it's really the visuals.
Because it's Peter Jackson, you get to see lots of set pieces. The moving city of London is, really great. It's something out of Lord of the Rings.
Which you kind of expect from the trailer, but there's actually a lot more than the trailer. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Whoever is responsible, this is what CGI was developed for. All kinds of different locations, even very simple ones, like they spend a night in the tracks left behind by these giant, heavy, moving cities, right? So there were these huge trenches dug up by the treads of these cities, and it's just a fantastic sight.
Mortal Engines is what I call Mad Max for kids. It's a very PG Mad Max, where humanity has rebuilt, but there's some kind of those weird Mad Max craziness still around. You get to see a tiny town where people are enslaved, sold off for auction as salami.
As meat, basically, to make sausages. I think it's closer to the steampunk genre, where the technology, they've got this really cute,
they've got really advanced
Victorian
stuff.
steam engine. Yeah, okay. I mean, if you really want to analyze it, the technology actually doesn't make sense. The different levels. From what they have, you would need a very large and sophisticated industrial base, even though
which does not exist. Is this?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to really look closely at it, it doesn't work. That's the problem with most of these post-apocalyptic movies. They want the cool gadget factor, but you cannot have that without massive populations, 100 million people at least, supporting all this technology.
When we say that London has survived and is now a moving city, it's more like a giant tank.
Yeah, it's actually too
The
small.
scale is a bit off because in some shots it looks like a megalopolis that's really, a tower battle on high. And then in certain shots it looks like, well, this is just a giant tank.
Okay, at its maximum size, what would you estimate its maximum population to be?
100,000?
Yeah.
10,000 at most?
Yeah, I would give that also 10 to 100,000. That is not enough to support their engines and your weaponry and stuff. And the rebels even had jet engines. Come on.
Jet engines in wooden planes, wooden biplanes. How cool is that? It doesn't make sense, but it looks good on screen.
It's yeah, I mean some of the flying sequences, some of the aeroplanes, they look a bit like Laputa, Miyazaki Hayao's. You have to see that if you haven't watched that.
But imagine if Laputa Castle in the Sky had a Star Wars Episode 4 final sequence dogfight in it. They have to blow up the Death Star with biplanes.
Yeah. And I mean their super weapon also, you cannot resurrect old technology that easily. I mean even now if you just...
Stuff breaks down actually.
Yeah, a lot of things go wrong and they suddenly just master it like that and they know how it operates. And then, oh, it's overheating. Yeah, no, override it. No, you wouldn't know that. And you would need an army of engineers.
You would need a hardware manual, which that does not seem to exist in this book.
And it would be easy to shut it down because it's so fragile. The internal machinery would not be designed to survive any kind of military hardware, any kind of gunfire. So you could just shoot the thing, right? Because it's exposed, it comes out and it exposes itself to fire. You could shoot at it. You don't need a special key. And the heroine who has never seen, I guess, computers before, takes this electronic gadget. She figures out where to slot it into the laptop computer. She knows what commands to type. It's like, oh.
This is Peter Jackson at his best for a long, long time.
Yeah, way better than The Hobbit.
For one thing, the script is actually tight. The editing is actually tight. There's no lull in energy. There's no low energy sequence. The original novel is for the young adult market. So basically, boy meets girl, boy gets involved in girl's plot to get rid of the big bad leader who's trying to take over the world, and
they run into trouble and they escape trouble and then people chasing after her. This is not Game of Thrones where it's all a lot about character and plot.
And Sean Bean dies at the end.
The thing about doing a book to movie thing is that you have to throw out a lot of stuff because the book is a lot longer.
I would presume that a lot of the class struggles and elitism in New London was taken out.
I'm thinking the bad guy's daughter because she's like just vestigial there. She's just got a small part. So I think they should have cut her out entirely. I think she has a bigger role in the book. She's really not necessary here.
So there's an A plot where basically the two protagonists get kicked out of London after the failed assassination attempt on Hugo Weaving. And then there's a B plot where Hugo Weaving's daughter and the protagonist's best friend discover that Hugo Weaving is actually up to no good at all.
I actually like the movie so much that I'm probably going to buy the book and maybe even give it as a Christmas present to my niece.
It's such a step up to Peter Jackson's original greatness, because the author had wanted to write something more adult. But his publisher said, I'll buy the story and publish it.
If you make it like the Hunger Games.
If you make it more for children, young adult at most, but children mostly. And what Peter Jackson has done that has worked with this film, but did not work totally for The Hobbit, is to turn the children's book into something like add in a little bit of adult elements.
No, because they had good material. The problem with The Hobbit is that it's a small story, but for
It got overblown.
marketing reasons, they wanted to make it like a Lord of the Rings kind of grand.
Epic.
Yeah.
Epic. I think the word you're looking for is epic. And what I think Peter Jackson has finally learned is how to balance between epic and children's story.
For me, about Lord of the Rings was actually the visuals also, not so much the story.
So, would you like to watch it again?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they did so many details. It's like watching Brazil. You know, they've got little details all over the place. And the machinery, because it's a steampunk kind of guide, so there's a lot of mechanical stuff. And
What looks like mechanical stuff that should not work but do work.
but it's not totally. It looks like there's some thought behind it. It's like the Japanese mecha stuff, the mechanical designer. So they seem to have some real engineers doing some of the visualization. So I mean, it looks good. It looks real. Even though like the cities are way too heavy. I mean, to have a moving city like that, I mean,
And moving at that kind of speed.
yeah. I mean, not just your power source, your structure would not be able to handle it. I mean, like the German heavy tanks at the end of World War II, the Tigers, they were at the limits of the mechanical engineering, so they were unreliable. They kept on breaking down. The parts were stressed too much.
Yeah, and the problem with this world is that supposedly they're still in technological dark ages. That's why they treat historians and archaeologists are so prized because they can dig up old world tech.
But they've got this fantastic mega engineering, so
No one knows how it works, but it looks gorgeous. London doesn't look like it should stand because if you basically got on tracks, building after building, and supposedly in some shots skyscrapers
they're not
piled on each other.
They're not bothering to save weight, you know. They've got these like marble buildings and gates, you know, wrought iron gates and everything. They just took entire buildings and put it on this machine. But I mean,
It like Jenga.
realistically, you'd be throwing away weight like crazy.
It will topple, but somehow maybe this is Tower of Babylon allegory. Have you thought of that? I honestly won't watch it for the story either. But, you know, just to see Peter Jackson do his visual magic and put on all the set pieces, the action set pieces that are so intricate, involve so many moving parts, I'd watch it again as well. But one thing is, would you watch this on Peter Jackson's inevitable director's extended cut? We've seen the ones on Lord of the Rings and they kind of got really draggy.
Normally, I'm more interested in analyzing a movie, and I hope I've done it here, but now I'm going to give a recommendation. Just watch it, it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous movie to watch, just watch it.
Would you bother with a sequel? Do you think this movie deserves a sequel?
For me, the impact here is visual, so if we're going to repeat the visuals, it'll be okay, but not a big deal. This looks like a monster hit. I'm predicting a monster hit.
I'm predicting a monster hit, but this feels more like a standalone where the story is self-contained, it ends very neatly.
Yeah, there's no cliffhanger. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no shock reveal, like, I am your father, Luke. No
There's
such thing.
There's no.
Or are we lying?
There are no lines inserted to say there's a sequel coming out. So.
But if there is, would you watch it? Would you want it?
Definitely. If you want to compare with Hunger Games, the story was better, but this one the visuals is better. I'm really blown away by the
I'm
visuals.
guessing Hunger Games had characters you could actually root for, who had deeper interaction with each other.
I think it's fair to say that maybe only Peter Jackson could have made this movie. And you're beginning to see his style after so many movies. He's a visual guy, special effects.
We'll give this 2 thumbs up from me, 2 thumbs up from Kit, and we'll see you next week and as we decide what on earth we want to watch.
Right?
Bye-bye.